Happy Arvel. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today for yet another godforsaken political video. I know. It's probably getting really old, but it is what it is. How could I not? I don't know. Albanese and Dutton just debated. I need to see it. Specifically, I need to see. I mean, I may actually watch the entire thing. This type of thing fascinates me. I don't think I'm going to react to the entire thing. I don't think anybody would watch that, to be frank. If you would, thank you. But I'm going to react to, at the very least, this first question. I'm trying to find the questions that were about Trump, America. Obviously, as an American, that's what pertains to me most, and what I might, be able to give some, at least some kind of commentary to, in a way that might be entertaining. I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know why I'm like stalling so much. This took me forever to find. I don't know why. The debate, but I found it. Not on the Sky News account. That's who held the debate. Although maybe it's there. I don't know. I don't know, man. It took me a long time to find this. This other guy uploaded it. I was going to say go check out his channel, but it's like, it's not his debate, so I feel like I don't have to say that. But if you want to, go check out it. Go check out Uli Maroa. Anyway, this very first question is about Trump, okay? And the tariffs. I need to see what they say to each other about it. I'm fascinated by it. I'll try not to be too like blah, 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 like I am right now. Okay, let's do it.
The Prime Minister
We turn it up a little bit. Let's do this right.
and Mr. Dutton. We came out of COVID and the economy did really well after that, and we've still got...
Okay. Hold on, I need a second just to take that in. He just said the economy did really well after COVID. That's funny. I mean, the stock market did do really excellent. So from that perspective, I can't help but laugh because all the millennials and younger right now are like, really well? I can't even afford to buy a house. But, as far as people, with a lot of investments or that already owned homes, it's true. I mean, luckily, I already owned a house. So it wasn't even like bad for me. But, cost of living, way up. Inflation, way up. Luckily, it's come down. Most people, though, let's be honest, did not think, oh, the economy is doing so fantastic after COVID. But okay, let's continue.
going well at the
The
moment.
stock market did.
How are we going to cope with the Trump pandemic that we're going through right now? And what's your strategy around
The Trump pandemic.
getting Australia on the right foot going forward?
Okay.
Great
It's a good question.
question. Prime Minister, first to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Michael. And indeed, Australians did show extraordinary resilience during the global pandemic. And we came through that, but it had a long tail that's still having an impact today, and straight afterwards, followed by inflation. Now,
I like that he acknowledges that. That's really good. I think that's what the people at home need to hear. It's a leader that understands. Anyway, let's keep going.
President Trump has made a decision that I've called an act of economic self-harm for the United States. When you impose tariffs, it's a tax on the country that is imposing it. So Americans will pay more for the goods that they purchase from overseas, and that will have an impact here because we know that as the world's largest economy, it's expected to dampen global economic growth, so it does present a challenge.
That is an interesting way to put it. I think that is a good overview about it all. It's kind of like America is holding a knife to itself, like, hey, as a threat, just knowing we're the biggest economy. Hey, y'all better get in line. It's pretty messed up. It's like an abusive husband or something. I don't know. But yeah, okay.
But last Thursday, we were prepared. Australia got the best deal of any country on the planet. 10% is 10% more than we would like, but no one got a better deal than us, in part because of the representations that we'd made. But we were prepared.
That's an interesting. I wonder how Australians feel hearing that. That is an interesting way to put it. I feel like Australians are outraged. So it is true. You got the best deal. You know what I mean? The best deal was 10%, which is still a bad deal. Which does say something. Obviously, we have a great relationship with Australia. I'm trying to keep it that way. Too bad I don't have too much power. But yeah, that's an interesting lens to view it through. You did get the best deal. That's a very positive way to view it.
Prepared as well.
I'm sorry. Did a picture of Peter Dutton just like flash on the screen? Am I crazy? I don't know what I'm talking about.
No country is better positioned to take advantage of the trade opportunities. And it's important to remember this. 80% of global trade doesn't involve the United States. So in our region in particular, there will be opportunities for Australia that we want to seize. We've said we'll have global trade missions following the missions that I've led to Indonesia, to India and China.
Look, this is a little bit like scary to me as an American, just hearing how other countries are kind of like, all right, we're just going to have to leave America behind. Like, yikes. Not great for us.
Looking for opportunities for businesses. We'll create a fund through our National Reconstruction Fund of $1 billion to help businesses adjust here. We'll continue to negotiate, of course, with the United States, looking for a better deal for Australia, because reciprocal tariffs would, of course, be zero because we don't impose tariffs on US goods.
We might hear from Mr. Dutton. Thanks.
It is kind of insulting, isn't it, to call it a reciprocal tariff, especially on Australia, which doesn't impose any tariffs. I mean, he says they don't. I believe him. If you guys do, it's very, very minimal on anything. And from what I understand, there are restrictions as far as like importing beef and stuff, but it's mostly based around like health. Because, well, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't speak because I don't really know. But from what I have heard, you guys just have a high health standard on produce and meat. And so, kind of unlike America, so you don't really just willy-nilly import beef from us. Plus, you have plenty of your own.
Thanks.
Well, Michael, thank you for your question. I sat around the cabinet table when we negotiated with Trump Mark I presidency, and we negotiated an outcome for Australia which is much better than what we had today, and it meant that Australia was excluded from the first round of tariffs imposed by President Trump.
Okay. I mean, I like the point of saying he's got experience, but I feel like anybody can say that's a little bit disingenuous just because the first round, like we're talking 2018, those weren't anywhere near the levels for any country that we're looking at today. So it's like, yeah, of course those were better. They were better for everybody in the world. But okay. He's got experience. That's good.
I've also sat around the cabinet table in the National Security Committee when we went through COVID, and the support that we provided to families, to employees, to employers kept our economy going through a very rough period. And I know that we can deal with whatever comes our way. I think one of the great things about living in the greatest country...
I'm sorry, what was his position during COVID? I want to know. Okay, so he was the health minister. He was the health minister from 2013 to 2022. Okay. Appointed by Tony Abbott. That does make me wonder, like, what role did he have in negotiating the tariffs? I understand what he's saying about COVID. The health minister certainly has a role in that, right? All right, let's keep going.
Country in the world is that whatever is thrown at us, the Prime Minister of the day should have the ability and the strength of character to be able to stand up against bullies, against those that would seek to do us harm, to keep our country safe and to make sure that we can make the right economic decisions for our country as well. And that's exactly what I would seek to do as Prime Minister.
Wow, that's a much stronger statement, kind of like against Trump. I'm sure some people like to hear that, right?
Hear from
Obviously, as an American, I'm like, no, come on, come back. But I know people like to hear that. A strong. It definitely sounds like a strong position. Not going to back down. Right? I don't know.
Monica now. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going through the video, by the way. I'm just trying to find, where he's talking about America and Trump. I feel like that's what's relevant for me to be reacting to. But I have to say, I really love this format. We didn't have a town hall format between Trump and Kamala or Trump and Biden. I just think that's a shame. I really love this format. Get the voters out there asking the questions. And I also like how cordial these two are compared to, what I have to witness over here in our elections lately. They just asked how many people are kind of feeling struggling in this current economy, and this was kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning. Just, you can see almost a third of people's hands are up. They're struggling right now. So, yeah, I mean, that's really how, probably the main reason Trump got elected is just because he was not the incumbent. People were struggling with the inflation and high housing prices. They needed to blame the current administration, and so they did, and they elected a new person. Okay, I just made it through the entire debate. I don't think they mentioned Trump or America a single other time, and I'm very offended, guys. I feel like, considering America's the center of the universe, like, really? You're only going to mention us once? No, I did think maybe they would mention Trump again, just because it's all so crazy right now. But they did. I mean, they covered it at the beginning, so I'm happy with that. That was very fascinating. I'm always fascinated to hear what really any Australian politicians and people think about the whole situation. I think it's important to know. With that said, I do want to hear their closing statements, and I'll react to that, because I may as well. Considering there wasn't anything else, about America or anything, maybe they'll mention something here. I don't know. But let's see. I'm very excited for the election coming up, so I kind of want to get a feel for, the closing statements are important. Let's see.
Closing statements, Prime Minister, thanks to you.
Well, thank you very much, everyone.
And I have to say, I enjoyed the debate. I think it was a good debate.
And for your questions and for the way that we've engaged together tonight. I think the People's Forum is a really important part of the Australian political landscape now here in Australia, and it's great that it's the first debate that's been held. But Peter said that there'd be no cuts to health. But they said that last time when they came into office in 2013. They said there'd be no cuts to health, no cuts to education, no cuts to the ABC. And the truth is that they ripped into education, they ripped into health, they cut the ABC, and they did everything that they said they would not do. Now, if you have a $600 billion nuclear plan, you've got to make cuts. The money has to come from somewhere. We have been a responsible government that have delivered budget surpluses that have got the budget in better nick. We've provided cost of living support when it's needed whilst getting inflation down. But there's more to do, to build on the foundations, to build a stronger future. And I know that in this uncertain time, with what's going on in the world, now's not the time to make cuts, to have the sort of policies that we've seen in the last week, where they've chopped and changed even before the election. So how can you believe what they do after the election?
Prime Minister, thank you. Mr Dutton.
Okay, pretty strong.
Thanks, Kieran. And thank you to everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, Anthony, for being here as well. I said before that it was confronting to see the hands go up with people who are struggling at the moment. And when the Prime Minister says that this has been a successful 3-year period, it's just in defiance of the reality of people's lives and where we are as a country right now. We face incredibly difficult...
See, that's the problem with being an incumbent, is it's pretty easy. I mean, after COVID, everything kind of went to shit, as far as housing and inflation all around the world. So, the opposition party's just like, hey, that happened on your watch. And that's a pretty strong point, I mean, it's a pretty strong argument because it's true. Like, it did happen on their watch. Now, whether it was their fault or not, I don't know. Let's continue.
Times, not just because of what's coming out of the United States at the moment and the...
Oh, he said it. He said the United States. We got to go back.
Incredibly difficult times, not just because of what's coming out of the United States at the moment.
Yeah, difficult times because of the United States. Woo!
And the tariff...
I apologize.
...debate with China and whatever the retaliation might be from other countries as well. A coalition government will always be a better economic manager. We will always manage the economy well, which means that we can deal with the cost of living crisis more effectively. That is about helping families. It is about making sure that we don't see a repeat of the 30,000 small businesses that have gone to the wall over the last 3 years. The Prime Minister spent the first 16 months of this term obsessing about the Voice, which was a $425 million red herring that proved to be a distraction, an attempt to divide the country. And when that debate was taking place, the Prime Minister should have been making decisions around how best to protect us from inflation that was obvious off the back of COVID. I want to make sure that we can restore the dream of home ownership. I want to make sure that we can deliver a first-class health system. I want to make sure that we can live in a safe country. The Prime
I will say, to his point here, if incumbents and politicians don't realize at this point that voters, as much as there are other issues that matter so much, inflation and cost, which is cost of living and housing, that's like it. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what you need to be able to speak about
Minister
and fix. Not easy to fix. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy to fix. All right, let's continue.
says that we live in the most precarious.
Because, okay, let me go on one quick. I'm going to be so short here, but a problem with fixing inflation is that, if you bring prices down, that brings almost kind of by definition brings revenues down for businesses. And if revenues go down, then unemployment's going to go up. So it's hard to fix. It's like double-edged sword. Pick your poison. Hard to fix. Anyway.
Precarious period since the end of the Second World War, since 1945, and then takes $80 billion out of...
Now, of course, there's people going to say, okay, there's record profits and they can afford to lose some money and, without firing people. Okay. I know.
Defence.
Sorry, I'm interrupting Mr. Dutton.
We can live in a safe country. The Prime Minister says that we live in the most precarious period since the end of the Second World War, since 1945, and then takes $80 billion out of defence. I want to keep us safe as a community, safe as a country, and I want to make sure that we can help families deal with Labor's cost of living crisis. We don't need a Labor Greens minority government after the election, given the headwinds that we're seeing at the moment. The Treasurer today was in panic mode, talking about the prospect of a recession next month, which is a disaster for our economy, and it shows that Labor just doesn't know how to manage money or the economy.
Mr. Dutton, thank you. Mr. Albanese, thank you both for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you to everyone here at Wenny Leagues and to you at home watching the first debate of campaign 2025. Thank you all. And now it's back to Sharry Mark.
I thought this guy did a good job as well, moderating. I thought he did good. I know Sky News is right wing, right? It is, right? I don't think they try to deny that, do they? I don't know. Whatever. With that said, I just think it was a nice, fairly cordial debate, well operated. I enjoyed it. It seemed like a lot of questions from both sides. And this guy, he was running around. I like to see it. That was good. Be sure to go vote, guys, or else you're going to jail. No, I don't know what the penalty is, but yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.